Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus here with us on this Monday. Thank you very much to you for joining us here on the programme, and to the many thousands who've already subscribed. We are absolutely delighted that you've joined the football family. If you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, don't forget to do so before the end of the programme. You can also share it with your friends, let them know that you can watch this on your YouTube channel on the big screen, or indeed you can watch it at your leisure if you miss it live, Monday to Friday, 4 till 5 o'clock, and Tam and I usually on a Saturday afternoon, 4 till 6. And let's not forget, if you download the app, you can get all the breaking football news as well. Okay, we'll give you a new competition this week, but last week's winner, congratulations to Keith Barry from Kirkcaldy, who's a Wraith Rovers fan, and he's won either a Celtic Danny McGrain poster or Davy Cooper and one of our Maestro top trophies, so not a bad prize.
No, it's a great prize. We've had them for a while now, and I particularly like the ones in the frame, but you're saying they're not getting a frame. So that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It costs £6 postage.
Well, I was just about to say, the
multi-millionaire's not sending the £7 first.
The last thing
postage.
I need to do is actually show a prize to two dimwits who just constantly mention anything else. The other week there, Ali, we had a prize. I'll just tell you this, right? We had a prize on which was Match Attacks, brilliant, and he went, "Oh, I like the Panini stuff." It's Match Attacks. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's the kind of guy, you know. You could win a Volkswagen car. Yeah, but I mean, the Porsche is much better. I wouldn't. What would you do with a Volkswagen? That's roughy, you know. And then, of course, your man here who can't even turn up for work on a Saturday, just goes out in the lash. It's as simple as that. Before we give you the new competition, here's the quiz for today. It's a difficult one based on the argument that's ongoing at the moment. We thought, what is the record attendance for an Old Firm match, and in what year did it take place? Because this is when, you know, you used to have a fair representation of both sets of fans. We're not going to let it go, Ali. We're going to keep going with it.
It must have the advantage here.
Well, what is the record attendance for an Old Firm match, and what year did it take place? Give us your estimate for the record attendance.
147,322.
Wow, right. So, and what year?
63.
63. Ali, I'm going to give you a go at it.
I'll say, I'm thinking maybe a Hampden game, a cup game or something. I'm going to say 121,000. 1968. 1968.
Precise.
It's up to yourself.
Right, I'm going to go 1965.
Oh.
Hampden 139,222.
139,222, 65 the year.
Yes.
Okay. I just looked at you.
How did you make your mind up after you looked at the computer?
Can't I see the answer?
I never put the answer in now because obviously, you know, cheat is on there. Don't bother. Try not to Google it, by the way. It's a bit of fun. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Hugh Scott says 109,000, Scottish Cup final, 1936. He's gone even earlier than anybody. So there's a few belters in there. We will talk about it constantly. I think Mikael Lustig was mentioning as well, before we get into the meat and bones of the football over the weekend, and quite a lot of contentious decisions which I'm sure will anger more than a few of you. Here's our competition for this week.
It's another unbelievable competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win these fantastic Geo Thompson prints, including this signed print of Hibs legend Pat Stanton, commemorating Hibernian's 2016 Scottish Cup win, if you answer this simple question. Who scored the winning goal in that memorable cup final against Rangers? Post your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Brilliant. I mean, if you're a Hibby, you want all three prints from Geo Thompson, signed as well. I just think that's an absolute belter, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think if you got the Pat Stanton one by its own, it's a belter. But to get the other two as well, it's a wonderful prize for a Hibs supporter in their own frames.
Yeah, absolutely. And shut it, you, will you? They are all in frames. Yeah. So the reason why I didn't want to put in them, I'm giving them a big poster for God's sake. Give me peace, will you?
That's fine.
Anyway,
In frame.
if you want to enter the competition, don't forget if you hit the subscribe button, doubles your chances. But it's a good prize nonetheless. Okay, Celtic and Rangers come from behind. VAR dominating the headlines once again. So we'll start with Rangers 4-2 winners at Fir Park against Motherwell. I thought it was a great game. You were there for PLZ.
Yeah, I thought it was good fun. I thought Motherwell really made a fist of it. I think Rangers were comfortable winners in the end. I think they probably could have picked Motherwell off just in the last 15 minutes or so, a couple of chances where they could have added to the scoreline, but I think Motherwell will be quite happy at how competitive they were for a good hour in the game. I think the big controversy is that Rangers' third goal, whether or not I think it was Sakala who was offside in the build up to Todd Cantwell's goal. I think if that doesn't go in, it's a very different game, because I think Motherwell had just levelled the scores 3 or 4 minutes earlier. So I think if they keep it level for a while at that point, it gets interesting. I think Motherwell know they won't be judged on what they do against Rangers at home between now and the end of the season, but I think they'll take heart just at the manner in which they competed. For Rangers, I think that, they remain unbeaten in the Premiership since Michael Beale's returned, and I think it's a case of building up a bit of momentum between now and that Cup semi-final, because that semi-final date now is massive for Rangers.
I've got to get you on the contentious issues then. What about Sakala? Offside for you?
I think it depends what angle you see it from. I think certain angles he looks just off. On others, I think he looks possibly in line, in which case you can see why then they've given the benefit of the doubt to the attacking play. But I think it's like so many things with VAR, it depends on how you see it, what angle you see it at. I think it was, for me, I thought it was fairly inconclusive. I thought there was at best he's level.
Yeah.
I think.
Ruffy?
Yeah, and first sighting of it, I thought the two of them were offside. I thought the Mother one was very close as well.
So did I.
I also thought the
was
Mother
close.
one. I thought Max Johnson was offside.
But again, as we were discussing earlier, the two lines that have now appeared for me, the blue line and the red line, seemingly if he's on line with one of them, the attacker gets the advantage. And that seems to be another rule that's jumped out from nowhere. So that was the referee just telling everybody why it wasn't offside. But I think we all agree the line at Motherwell seems to be a bit as if Tam was out at the weekend. It looks a bit squinty.
Yeah.
When you see it at Motherwell. So I don't know if that's the position in another VAR camera, but it just doesn't look straight.
Okay. Slattery, red card.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, I think he's caught him. I don't think there's a lot in it, and he's went down. I think Cantwell's reaction is disappointing. Maybe got him sent off, but he has swung an arm round just to protect himself, and he's caught him. I can see why he's gave a second yellow, but I was glad they gave the two goals as goals that they were tight.
Same here.
I think if you're talking it's close, I think you give the advantage to the attacker. I think every game it should be like that. If you're getting another line out and you think, I don't know, I think that's tight. It's a goal for me.
No, I was glad they gave.
All the time.
I was glad they gave the decision towards the attacker to finish the play out. But you cannot have and I'm with you on it. I understand your sentiment behind it, but you just cannot have it. It has to be a definitive that gives you a consistency of decision, because it's all right saying, let's favour the attackers, but unfortunately right now the game's in turmoil. People want VAR ended, binned, because quite simply the decisions are infuriating everybody.
I think the problem is not so much decisions, but the inconsistency of decisions that sometimes you're getting in another game that might be called off, and what it comes down to is individual interpretation. And I think that's where the frustration lies, because on one game you're seeing a decision go one way, somebody getting a penalty, somebody having a man sent off. The next week you see a different referee watch a very, very similar scenario and come to a different conclusion. And I think that's what's exasperating people, particularly managers, when you get to this point of the season. If you're at the lower end of the table and livelihoods and so much depends on keeping your team in the league, when you're not getting decisions like that, you can see how infuriating it would be. But I would go back. I think we need full-time officials. I think you want to raise the standard of officiating in the country, and I think VAR was there to supplement it, to help, but it still comes down to who makes the call and how they interpret it.
Yeah, and that I think is annoying everybody, the consistency of it. A couple of things that I actually thought it was a soft yellow card on Slattery. I don't know about you, Ali, did you think?
No, I thought it was soft as well.
Yeah, I don't think he deserved to be sent off for that. But two very positives. Van Veen keeps scoring goals for Motherwell, which I think he deserves some credit, Ruffy, because at times when he first started I thought he looked like a block of wood, but now he's banging in the goals and his record speaks for himself. And the other one, just briefly, if you can give me your thoughts on him, I like the look of Cantwell. I think he's got something.
Yeah, I think he's got something, and Rangers are going forward. I think he's got a lot of skill, a lot of confidence. I don't know about him when he's up against a game and he's got to be a wee bit more defensive. I think he's not got that in his makeup. But Van Veen, yeah, superb, particularly as the main striker. The pressure's all on him to score goals for his club, so, and he's coming up with the goods. So, yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah, and the other thing that I just think, before we hear from Michael Beale on this, two quick things. James Tavernier said that the next Old Firm game, Celtic will see the real Rangers. Now, I don't know about you, Tam, but if I was the captain, don't give any headlines out ahead of an Old Firm game.
No,
you're putting yourself under major pressure.
You do, and Celtic do their talking on the pitch, and it seems to be that Rangers keep setting themselves up for these headlines. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference, but it just riles the other team up, and I think you just keep it quiet, keep it in-house what you're going to do, and you're going to do this and going to do that, and you're going to see the real Rangers and stuff like that. You keep it in-house. You don't give the opposition something to hit you over the head with. So listen, we'll soon see. They've done their talking. It was at Sakala the last game. We're better than Celtic, and Celtic turned them over. So they're talking on the pitch like Celtic have done this season.
Yeah. The other thing that I think a lot of Rangers fans, certainly on the evidence of the display at the weekend, again, the banner, time for change. They're not too happy with Stuart Robertson or Ross Wilson. So when you see that constantly going up there, they're not letting up on this one.
It's not going away, and the interesting thing for me is that you get to this time of year and what's just around the corner are calls for season ticket renewal. Now that is fundamental to bringing resources into the club, early resources. Clubs always like to get it out before the season finishes. I think that becomes a big issue for Rangers when you have fans saying, well, we've renewed our money, we're going to talk with our cash, and this is what we demand, and that's when it gets very interesting. Okay,
Michael Beale says he understands, but I think he's trying to create a siege mentality when he had this to say after the game.
Everybody's aim is to win and to make the fans happy, and I understand the frustrations. They have a right to share their opinions and views, but I think we are a much stronger club when we're all together, and hopefully sooner rather than later that will all come back in line, because it's important. There's enough people outside of Rangers that don't want us to do well, so let's make sure we're all together.
Well, that's just a rallying call, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it just adds more pressure onto the game itself and for Rangers. I think they're one defeat away from it really exploding, for the fans exploding. I mean, they've got their own reasons for doing it, whether you like it or not. But a defeat of any magnitude, whether it's anybody in the league or even Celtic beating them, then it'll just explode. And that's not what you want at a club. You want everybody going in the right direction if you've got challenges ahead. But the tension is there, and we're just waiting on it happening.
Yeah, lots of fans are not happy at the moment and displaying banners. Some are not allowed to display banners, but the Motherwell fans had their own protest, Ali. Heavy hands, empty stands. They're not happy with the way they're being treated.
Yeah, and I think there was a criticism directed at the club in there too. They came in late. They came in after a couple of minutes after kick-off. But I think this, when you have protests and people stay away, like you saw with the Union Bears too last weekend, like left that section of the stand empty, I think it does have an effect on the players. I think it does have an effect on the game and the atmosphere around the game. Maybe not so much on Saturday at Fir Park, because they came in fairly swiftly after it. But I think it can be difficult to keep it at bay from the players. I think it can be very difficult to stop it affecting your dressing room.
Yeah, as far as the game overall, Motherwell certainly contributed to an entertaining game. Didn't quite get the points they were looking for, and I wonder if there's a secretary on just on a desk at the SFA this morning for all the calls that were going in, because apparently Stuart Kettlewell was calling as well, unhappy with the second yellow for Callum Slattery.
Hasn't swung his arm at the opponent, he hasn't tried to hurt the opponent. Yes, there's contact with the shoulder, and as such, when two players are coming together, sometimes there'll be some form of contact with the face or whatever, but for me, it's never been a second yellow card, and I feel frustrated for him, but also feel frustrated for the group, because by the end of the game, Rangers are crossing balls into a box, they're getting opportunities, and I didn't think that was the game it was. I didn't think that was the context of what we'd seen for the previous 75 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he's just one of a number of managers who's just going to have a rant on this programme. I might as well tell you. So Rangers get the 3 points for the early kick-off, asking questions of Celtic. Well, obviously, Tam, you weren't here in the studio. What a laugh it was. Ruffy was at his funniest. He did a lot of material that he hadn't done before. 17
viewers that were on.
Yeah, well, they come back to us because you weren't here. And the other thing about it is it was 3-1. You were on the old hospitality. Were you impressed with that game?
Not really, no, I wasn't impressed with Celtic. I thought they huffed and puffed. I think obviously the game changes totally with the red card. Which in my opinion is never ever a second yellow card. I thought the first one even was soft. I thought, Starfelt goes down rolling about. I just don't think there's a lot of contact either. The second one, the two of them are grappling with each other. He's trying to hook it over his shoulder. I think Carter Vickers' head's down, and it's never a second yellow card. It's such a bad decision, and that totally ruined the game. It totally ruined the game. Hibs then played without a striker. I thought they were a bit fortunate. Well, I don't think they were fortunate. I thought it was a penalty. I thought he pulled them. That was a good spot from VAR. Let's give them some credit this week. And then Hibs went 1-0 up. But you always thought Celtic were going to come back and win with Hibs with 10 men. So did I enjoy the game? Not really. I thought it was ruined with the sending off. And Celtic eventually just wore Hibs down. But I thought Hibs played pretty well. They were solid enough. But I think the red card really influenced the whole game.
Yep, and Lee Johnson not happy with it.
I'm a bit of a lobbyist to give them more money, actually, because I think that the league should be employing professional referees. It's a big European league, this, and I feel it's really important. Like, there's a lot of money at stake. European places are at stake. There could potentially be 5 places available for Europe this year. So you've got to have the standard to match, and in my opinion that means a professional standard. What is professional? Well, it's full time.
Oh, he wants full-time referees. Is that the way ahead?
I would like to think it was, that they would get better, but I see full-time referees down in England making a pig's ear of it, so I don't know where we are. I think they do their best. They have to make these decisions first hand. It'd be interesting, but I don't think there's many of them would do it, because I think they're all in very, very good jobs. To give up that job that they have, they'd have to be offered a lot of money. And I don't know whether it would make it better or not, because I keep seeing mistakes down in England and they're full time.
Yeah.
Where do you go after that when you start complaining the full time ones?
Well, we've got to try something. We've got to look and follow the lead of most of the other countries to try and give them that point where they can totally focus on the game and give it every aspect of fitness, understanding, sharing the information with other countries, the problems they're having, educating each other on this. So I think there's got to be something to get it forward, because right now it looks as if we're creating this mini war between the referees, and referees will eventually, as they did in Scotland, as we know before, get hacked off if you're constantly beating them over the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah, you can understand it. I do. As we've said before, I definitely think full-time referees is the way to go. It's never going to eliminate every mistake, but I think when you're professional and it's a full-time job, I think you elevate the standard. I think it's inevitable that the standard comes up if it's your full-time job.
Yeah, well, the Hibs chief executive, Ben Kensel, he apparently had I think the words were a heated exchange with the SFA representatives at Celtic Park, and he reckons that Stephen McLean get every major decision wrong.
Let's go through them then. I thought the red card was not a red card. I think he's got that one wrong.
I agree with you.
I thought Starfelt was a penalty. I thought he pulls him, Paul Hanlon. I thought the penalty for Celtic was soft. Thought he went down easy, Carter Vickers. The one where Abada's gone through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper.
Well, he trips himself up, doesn't he?
I had probably had about 9 Corona by then, and I was 250 yards away.
Yep.
And I could see with one eye that he tripped to his own feet, and so did every Celtic fan around about me were laughing. That's never a penalty. And he pointed to the spot straight away, Stephen McLean. I don't know why. VAR obviously went back, and David Marshall got booked as well. He wasn't even near him, so he got that wrong. So I think he got one right, and that was a penalty for Celtic. I think every other big decision wrong.
Is that a case now, Ruffy, that we have to make a call that every referee has 9 Corona before they start the game? I just want to know, Ruffy. And maybe to hell with professionalism.
With some of those lines that are being drawn.
Stephen, there's your 9. Fire in, Biggie. You're bound to be able to see this one.
It'd be difficult to see the game for the hospitality room in the television. I don't think you really saw a live game, to be truthful. But I think you got most of them right. The only one I would disagree with you on was the Celtic penalty. I thought, was it Hanlon? I think he was trying to tug him a wee bit because he'd turned him. So at one stage he had holding him back, so I would have given a penalty for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Ferrier says, Tam, take the Hibs glasses off. Yep. That's the first one I've read, because I can't read them all because they're all coming in at that much. You can tell it's an angry day because it's just going mental on our feed about the decisions that were made. Of course, Lee Johnson was far from happy. Even Ange Postecoglou understood why the Hibs boss was unhappy.
I'm well aware of Lee's feelings. I heard them for 95, 100 minutes, mate, so I can just imagine, but that's fine. He's allowed his assessment of the game.
By the way, there was a Lee Johnson threw the ball in the park a couple of times, and the Celtic fans were getting really angry because when the ball was going out, he was throwing it. Somebody kicked a ball for the Hibs bench back onto the park, and it was one of the subs. And Lee Johnson get booked for it. He turned around, he was pointing to one of the subs. And then a ball came into the dugout, and John Kennedy's a big boy, and him and Lee Johnson were having a bit of a scuffle. Yeah. Like, two of them squared up to each other. So I thought Lee Johnson was going to get sent off, but Big Kennedy would have absolutely ripped his head off. Anyway, crack on.
Absolutely, because we know a few people from Cleland, Ruffy, and they seem to always want to start a fight.
Big John, maybe mess with.
Even when we're playing tennis, Ruffy, is that right?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You've just got to sort of take a deep breath, but some people can't do that, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Listen, of course, all the talk has been about Ange Postecoglou. I think he's been linked with every job down south in the last 6 months. But Kenny Dalglish was talking about it and said he'd be a fool to leave Celtic.
But surely you'd appreciate Ange's got the right to say no if he's asked. And if he is going to be asked, and if they didn't ask, they'd be even stupid. No to ask him. But somebody said it's manners to wait until you're asked. But even if he was asked, I don't know if he'd go. You try to say that Celtic's no as big an adventure as what some of the clubs that were allegedly interested in him. Why would he go down to the Premier League and get relegated? Or the team's threatened with relegation? He'd rather be at Celtic looking to win trophies. But it's just a byline that always comes up. When you're doing well, there's always somebody else interested. And so they should be.
Yeah, it's a good situation to be in, but I think Kenny speaks a lot of sense on the basis that quite simply, you know, he's got there's a timeline. Well, you just time your run of doing a job the best you can, and then when the right job comes, when the train eventually hits the right station, if you're lucky enough, you can take your decision then.
Yeah, and I think football can be so fickle. I think when you're in the ascendancy, sometimes it can be easy to think that there will be more than one offer, that there will be numerous offers, and then your star can fade fairly quickly, and all of a sudden you're not being quoted for jobs. But I think Ange Postecoglou hasn't given any indication whatsoever that he's unsettled at Celtic, that he doesn't want to stay. That my own personal view, just from from speaking to him at press conferences would be, I think he would fancy another crack at the Champions League. I think he would like another season, and I would stress that's an opinion. It's not based on anything that I've heard. It's just my own interpretation of what's been said. I don't see anything that suggests he's in a hurry. His comments lean towards the long term, and I'll say that in inverted commas because I'm not sure anything's particularly long term in football, but there's nothing there that would suggest he's looking for a way out, and I don't think he would be hasty in going for the first club that came along. And I think what Kenny Dalglish said there about why would you want to go to a team that's fighting for relegation, I understand the argument that there's a bigger budget, bigger salary, but I think these are considerations that if he wants to go to another club, it would have to be right in terms of what it offers, and I don't think like the likes of Leeds or Crystal Palace just now would tick those boxes.
Alison, I think the only way he's going to get a bigger job is making an impression in the Champions League.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's going to get a top 4, top 6 job just by winning domestically and beating Rangers. I don't think they look at it down there as good enough. Look at Brendan Rodgers, done brilliant at Celtic, unbelievable. Leicester, so I think he's got, if he gets into the Champions League and they do well and they start to take a couple of scalps, the big clubs, then you might see a Tottenham or a somebody like that coming in and going, yep.
Yeah, well, it's a strange situation. You mentioned that because it kind of contradicts the whole thing, because he got Leicester because he thought that's the perfect time to get out. He didn't see another way out, so he jumped and suffered the wrath of Celtic fans. But he moved to Leicester, who had a big budget initially to spend on, but he went to Leicester with a dreadful European record for Celtic. He couldn't get a trick out of them.
Yeah, but I think as Kenny said there, it's you've got to pick the team very carefully that you go to. I mean, look at Steven Gerrard. He did remarkably well at Rangers, and he took a chance to get in there, and it didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
So I mean, Rangers and Celtic are massive clubs. You're adored by everybody when you're winning. And you're winning most weeks. And you're in Europe most years. So you've got to look at where you're going to go, and as Alison said, do you want to leave all that and go to a relegation team?
Yeah.
And have all the pressure of what goes with that?
Yeah. Do you know why I love you, Ruffy? You're just ripping up the English language as you go. Aren't you? Take a chance. You're just a joy. If it sounds right, he just fires it out, Ali. I love him. He's just dismantled everything. You should do Shakespeare. You really should, Ruffy. You're an absolute gem, so you are. Listen, what about Aberdeen and the Horse?
Horse?
I don't by Aberdeen, I didn't see that, did you?
I didn't see it coming either. I really didn't, But
some of us did.
No, I think we all agreed that Hearts weren't playing to the levels that they had been during the season. So, sometimes when that happens, things like that happen at the weekend. But I certainly didn't see 3-0.
Ian says here, the Scottish media are always trying to move players and managers from Scottish football. We're getting it in the neck, to be honest with you. But in saying that, Duke looks as if he could be on his way in the summer. He looks a player.
I think he's had a fantastic season, all the more so when you consider how patchy Aberdeen's campaign has been as a whole. I think he's really stood out. I think he's got a trick in him. He's strong, he's got a bit of pace, he can finish. I think Aberdeen might do well to hang on to him beyond the end of this season.
He got a little fortuitous with the shot for the first goal, but other than that, I mean, his diving header, fantastic. I mean, Aberdeen, Barry Robson must be saying to himself, if he's not giving me this job, he must give me some high position.
He's doing really, really well there, and we speak about it every week. He's obviously putting himself in that window to get the Aberdeen job. But if he doesn't get the Aberdeen job, then I'm absolutely certain that there's going to be directors and boards elsewhere thinking when another job comes up, Barry Robson done really well. So he's enhancing his overall reputation as a young manager. So no, great result. It could have been even more. Aberdeen very dominant, Hearts poor. They are faltering a little bit at the minute, and Aberdeen still in the mix. Hibs, played Celtic, Rangers back to back, picked up no points, and neither did Hearts. So they've got the two hard fixtures out the way, and they're still only 5 points behind. So from me thinking, I've thought Hearts were a stick on all season to finish third. Now you're thinking there's a wee bit of light for your Aberdeen or a Hibs to go and catch them.
Yeah, what about the Lawrence Shankland line? Apparently he issued an apology to the Hearts fans, admitting the team obviously let everyone down. But there was another little line that caught your eye.
Yeah, he seemed to say that we weren't really entirely sure about, how we were out and how we'd set up and what we were doing. And yeah, I just think it was such a bizarre result. I think Hearts for so long this season.
It's a bizarre thing to say, never mind the result.
Thing to say, but when you look at where Hearts have been for so long in this campaign and how far ahead they were at one point and where they are now, they just seem to have lost their way entirely. And the quote for me seemed to suggest that, not entirely sure, in terms of what the game plan was, how they were going out to approach it against Aberdeen, and Aberdeen certainly exploited that.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I don't know if it was rather foolish, Ruffy, I still think Hearts will hold on by the skin of their teeth to third, but if they keep producing performances like that, I'm going to be looking stupid, although I do that on a regular basis.
Not that evidence, and we all know what Robbie Nielsen goes through, so another couple of results like that, and I think we'll be starting to see banners at Tynecastle, because a certain segment of the supporters have never been happy with Robbie, no matter what he does, so I would think another couple of defeats and we could be shifting our views over to Tynecastle. Yeah,
everybody's unhappy in life, but calm your jets, it's a bit early for that. Let's get to another angry manager, Derek McInnes. I think Derek deserves tremendous credit for not swearing in the after-match press conference. Killie won, St Johnstone won, and listen, again, does he have a case?
Yeah, I thought, listen, it's another handball, and we've seen so many this season. We've seen very similar ones to that get given, and they don't even, they don't go and have a look at it in VAR. So I think he's got every right. And Kilmarnock have had quite a few this season against him. It seems to be a sending off of Vassell was against Hibs, never a red card. The penalty against Celtic in the semi-final. So Kilmarnock have been unlucky, and you can see him just starting to boil over now, Derek. And it must be really, really frustrating for managers when you see handballs like that and you don't get it.
Yeah, the last time I seen a handball like Andrew Considine's there that wasn't looked at, I think it was in Michael Jordan's final season with the Chicago Bulls, when they eventually brought it down and then just flicked it up. I mean, I thought it was a story. Surely they're going to look to VAR.
I think this is what we're talking about. This is where the anger comes in, because one, you can probably see it without the need of any VAR, but what's going on that there isn't a message in the referee's ear to say you have to stop and you need to come and take a look at this, you've missed it. That's what I thought VAR, that was the very purpose of it, at situations like that where it was fairly clear and cut and dried that the referee hasn't seen it in the game.
But on the flip side of that, Ruffy, I'm actually amazed that he disallowed Vassell's first goal.
No.
I mean, his hands down here, and it's belted off him from about a yard away, and when he's flicked it into the roof of the net, it's called off.
But I think they probably interpret that as he's sort of controlled the ball by his arm, not intentionally, but by hitting his arm, it's made it more available for him to put it in the back of the net. I can get that one. The handball one I can't understand. I can't believe how one person can get it wrong, but how can two people get it wrong?
Well, that's what every game's about in the last 6 months, isn't it?
That's why I would be saying a manager has got every right to phone the referees tomorrow or today and say, look, could you explain that to me? And then when they give him an explanation, I'd love to know what it was.
Well, when Ange Postecoglou mentioned about some of the decisions, Derek McInnes, I think after the game, says Ange Postecoglou should be in my shoes.
I think we seem to be looking at so many things that aren't needing looked at again, and there's so many things that we should be looking at again, particularly that penalty kick. So it's frustrating. I think we've been you hear Ange and you hear whoever talking about, almost kind of scoffing at VAR as if they get nothing. If you look at us, we have had zilch. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
And by the way, that was the mild part of the 7-minute rant from him, and I think he's got a point, Ali.
He certainly did at the weekend. I think again, when you're in that position, when livelihoods are at stake and budgets are at stake and jobs and everything and points are so precious, you can understand why he would have been hugely irked at two big decisions it would have cost him.
Yeah, okay. I like Martin Lang's comment here. Sometimes I just like to read a wee noise up. He says, "Hi Peter, is Tam moonlighting or got a job with the Rangers channel by any chance?" So clearly they're not happy with your comments and the way you're going about things. I always feel, Ruffy, we go from one extreme to the other on this programme, where, you know, depending on what comes out of your gob, is you're getting leathered favouring one or the other. But such is the joy of Scottish football. It just goes, it just keeps on giving every week. The lunacy of our country is just, we've got angry fans, we've got managers trying to stop themselves from swearing, VAR, you've got, you know, him saying that John Kennedy would have tore the head off Lee Johnson in a 1-to-1 because they were swearing. I mean, the thing's mad. You know what I mean? And already, we're 35 minutes into this programme, and he's suggested 9 Coronas for the referee before a match. I mean, it's just mental, isn't it, Ali? It just shows you how people are losing the plot on it. And we continue. Dundee United won, St Mirren won. And again, here's Jim Goodwin not happy with what the referee was doing in their match.
The fact that they took so long checking it, to try and find a bit of contact, to try and justify the referee's initial decision, I think tells you everything that you need to know. There wasn't contact there. It wasn't like, Loic Aina has stuck his leg out or has made a clumsy challenge or pushed him in the back. I mean, Loic's arms are there when Curtis Main goes to the ground. So, yeah, it's I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face. It's not going to change anything. We've still had 2 points taken away from us.
I have to say, I'm gobsmacked that this was a penalty. I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
Maybe the worst of the weekend.
And the other side of that, why is Curtis Main claiming for it?
Well, you don't.
Why is he claiming
why
for it?
not?
Well, that's what.
So he's cheating.
Well, that's what everybody does. They try and earn an advantage for
why
their club.
Not book him? Why not book him?
It's a penalty. He's given the penalty.
I don't think it's a penalty.
But why? We
don't either. But he's got it.
But he's got it because strikers are down.
Did they look at that? I can't remember if they looked at that. Did they look at that?
No.
Did they go up to VAR and have a look at it?
Just thought it was a penalty.
Just gave a penalty. You've got to look at that. Surely that's the ideal opportunity to go and have a look at.
I think Jim Goodwin has got a really good point there.
It's never a pen. It's never a penalty. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that he gave a penalty for that. I mean, he just took a touch and fell, and he gave a penalty. So Jim Goodwin's got every right to be raging at that.
I think it's the worst decision of the weekend.
Yeah, so do I.
I thought it was the one that had the least amount of ambiguity about it. When you look at everyone else, decisions you can think are wrong, you could question them, but that one for me is the worst of all.
Do you remember Tam mentioned that Stephen Fletcher said he was at certain clubs and he didn't feel they were going to be relegated, and he still doesn't feel as if Dundee United are going to be relegated. And I wonder what he's feeling, because I'm looking at them in Kilmarnock and I'm thinking, refereeing decisions apart, they need to start showing something. They need to start getting wins. Especially
the fact that Motherwell have clambered away a wee bit. The fact that they had 3 wins out their last 4 prior to the weekend, they've managed to get a bit of breathing space. Yeah, I think Kilmarnock and Dundee United are the 2 that I think you would fear for, and I think neither travel particularly well either. Yeah, just out of curiosity, we've looked over all the games now. Would you bin VAR or keep it and just go for a big summit, Ruffy?
I would bin it. I would bin it. Yeah, it's getting out of hand now. There's no any decision. Well, sometimes Tam touched on a couple. They got a couple right at the weekend, but they're getting more wrong than they're getting right. So I don't know. It's then the pressure's back on the referees again, isn't it? We'll start moaning at them even more when they're getting them wrong. And if that referee doesn't see a handball and he doesn't have VAR, can you imagine how much pelters he's going to get?
Last season, Alison, I mentioned that we highlighted the fact that it would be something that could aid the referee and maybe get a greater percentage of decisions right. Has it managed to do that? We did mention on this programme, you were here when we said, although it will be implemented to try and get the greater percentage right because of the country we live in, it will still be a complete and utter riot. And so it has. That's the way it's panned out.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the point we made earlier. You still have the same officials, mate. It comes down to personal interpretation. I think, by and large, I would keep it. I think there were always going to be teething problems with it. I think it was always going to be quite difficult to implement midway through a season, for one. But second of all, I think we need to raise the standard of officials in the first place, and then I think you'll see it would be improved. But I think by and large, I would keep it. I think it's still a good tool to have.
Yeah, I would keep it. The only problem, and this is the biggest problem with this whole situation that we're in, is you've got Lee Johnson calling for professional referees. There's no money. I don't know where they're going to find the money. If there's a Scottish football marketing group being set up, they better stop everybody bickering and backstabbing, because there's not enough in the kitty for the collective to make the game better. But I would keep it. What would you do?
I don't think VAR's the problem. I think it's the people that are running VAR in our country, the referees and officials, and it showed how inept they are. Unfortunately, this was brought in to help. This was brought in to help them, and it's just shown them up for being poor. So, I would still bin it.
Okay, even Ali McCoist has an opinion on it.
I'll be brutally honest with you, I thought it would be a great thing. I did. I thought anything that rights are wrong must be a good thing. But I've changed my mind. It's driving me crazy. It wouldn't disappoint me if we didn't see it again. It would not disappoint me. I'm all for goal line technology, if the ball's over the line and all that kind of stuff. I'm for that. But I'll tell you right now, I would not be breaking my heart if I didn't see it again.
What's your thoughts on it? Would you keep VAR? Would you bin it completely? Is there any kind of alternative here? What about the referees? Are they legitimately being criticised, especially the ones actually in the studios operating the VAR and getting those extra angles to see a situation, whether it's an offside or whether there's been an infringement? Give us your thoughts on that as well. One thing that's happening, we've mentioned angry managers, chief executives that are angry. Dundee United are going to submit a request about the decisions, and they want clarity on some of the decisions as well. They feel as if VAR has cost them points in other games as well as the one at the weekend. So, interesting stuff. One match we haven't spoken about, and I'm really looking forward to telling you about what we've got coming up on Friday. But Livingston managed a 2-1 win over Ross County, Ruffy, and two belter goals from two players that David Martindale thinks. I think David Martindale thinks that Nicky Devlin and Joel Newbley will be on their way.
I think whoever gets Nicky is lucky. And if I'm honest, I'll probably put him into a couple of clubs down south if he's got a chance to go down there, because I've got a good relationship with managers. Him and Fitzy, two of my best players, are leaving the club. They've proved their worth over the course of 3-4 years, and I'll be putting him into a couple of clubs to try and help them out, but also to help the clubs out with the relationships I've got. I would never question the skipper's character.
Oh, I tell you right now, anybody in Scotland who can get their finger out, if they could get Nicky Devlin, I think Newbley's a good player as well. That would be a really a good signing. I think he's a great player.
I think he is. He's one of these full-backs that's like Tavernier. He's run about the 18-yard box, puts quality balls into the box, and now he's started scoring goals. Now, what more can you want? I'm very honest to the Livingston manager there, saying that they've done their bit, they've fulfilled their contract, you know, and they would help them to anywhere he went. I think he could go anywhere apart from Rangers and Celtic in Scotland, and I'm sure there'll be championship teams down in England looking at him as well. So, no, well done to him, and a wonderful strike. What a strike, he just hit it on the run.
Yeah, even Newbley, I mean, for a big guy, he's got a good touch on him as well, Ali.
He's a real handful, Newbley. I think, I think, you know, his physicality, he can finish, he's quite... he's got a bit of pace about him. Yeah, I think there'll be a few clubs in and keeping tabs on him.
Yeah,
I like both of them. Yeah. I think both of them could go and play with Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen or whoever, or somewhere in England. I played with Nicky when he was a young player at United. He's not lost that pace. You know, he was always rapid, great engine. He's improved technically over the years as well. So great time for him to score a cracking goal as well when he's out of contract and clubs probably watching him. So ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. But Livingston hopefully will get the best out of them as they try and finish in that top 6. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to Friday, where we are going to release another My Story, a day in the life of David Martindale, where basically the PLZ team were out there with the Livingston boss. He gave us access all areas, basically talking us through his day, how it starts in Edinburgh all the way through to coaching the players, in the background with all the staff, chatting through it all. And we had a brilliant day, Ruffy. It really was accommodating all the staff. We'd love to thank every one of them at Livingston, because it was a great day, and hopefully everybody enjoys the documentary, because we certainly enjoyed looking at it. There's some great banter in it as well, and a few choice words here and there.
Yeah, it gives the spectator a chance to see their club and what goes on at their club, from not just on a Saturday, turning up on a Saturday and watching them playing, but the day-to-day, you know, how much banter there is between players when you turn up in the morning, and the things that go on, you know. So it'll be a great eye-opener, and David Martindale's always good news, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also got a fantastic feature just aside from it, which I think we're really going to enjoy, Ali, because we had a challenge a few years ago, which was basically skill, speed and strike, and basically players had to go from the halfway line and show all their skills and try and score in the quickest time. And Ali Crawford was at Hamilton Accies at the time, managed to get it in 7.4 seconds. So we gave Shyness, our very own journalist Adam Binney, a chance to do it. And by the way, it's going to be vintage.
I've seen a clip of it, and it's not pretty viewing.
Absolutely. If there is a
My
modicum,
6-month baby could dribble better.
yeah, if there's a modicum of humility kicks in, Ali, I'll be gobsmacked. But it was brilliant, and Davy Martindale's line at the end of it is absolutely fantastic. But as well as that, it's well worth a watch, because it just shows you the difficulties that a manager faces, and the workload that David Martindale and the effort that he puts in. It's absolutely unbelievable. And to cap it all off, we managed to catch Livingston get the win as well. So really good stuff. Really looking forward to that coming out on Friday. So catch it if you can on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Here's the Premier League table. This is how it looks after the weekend's games before we shut down for the international break. Celtic still with that 6-point advantage, and then over and above that, a 9-point advantage, I beg your pardon, sorry Ruffy, okay. And at the bottom end of it, Dundee United rooted to the bottom, still tight, Ross County 2 points ahead, Kilmarnock not out of it in 25. Motherwell with enough of a cushion, Ruffy?
Well, we keep talking, when you get the split, there's 15 points. If you're only 4 or 5 points in front of the rest of them, you're still under pressure. You're only one game and a draw away. It depends what you do in that time, and I'm sure every manager that's in the bottom 6 will say, look, yous are good enough to beat everybody that's here, so let's go out and do it. But you've got to go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the predictions. Let's look at the table, because it was a belter for yourself, Tam.
You're not ahead of me. These scores are not right.
Can I just say
they are not right, these scores.
What is the scores?
You're not ahead of me.
Well, I'm looking here.
Cheryl, get a grip.
Ruffy's on 261. I'm on 259 because I get 9 points.
I get 14.
You had 14. You had a bumper.
What's above you? Anyway.
257. Alison, you are mid-table safety, 230. And Tam Cowan, 221. And Hugh is on 199, which I think, with so few games coming in, I am going to actually check Tam.
Because he's ahead of me. I was ahead of him before the weekend. Somebody's at it.
Ruffy, what's your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I think there is a wee mistake there.
There's definitely a mistake.
Yeah, we'll need to check it. Cheryl will check it.
Peter, did you do the scores this week?
I think mine were wrong as well.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you do. Anyway, as ever,
that's you just phoning in saying, can you check mine?
Well, we know you get 2 points.
You get 2 points. But then again, I don't know if you spotted there, and that's the downside of it, and it's possibly a message that I would give to young and old who watch the show. You can get very, very aggressive if you've had 9 Corona in an hour, and then you start disputing everything and want to pick fights. I'm just saying to you, and I've yet to see anybody from the area where I live in lose a fight to somebody from Springburn. I mean, I haven't seen one yet. I haven't seen any defeats
Hardly
there.
a bunch up
That's
there.
all I'm telling you. Once Kennedy comes over, two of us will just leather him. We're looking forward to the international football. I know Tam's not a big fan of international breaks.
2 weeks off.
Cyprus and Spain, Ruffy, to look forward to. Jack Henry looks as if he could be a little doubt for us. We're going to hear from Steve Clarke and most of the players over the course of the next few days, looking ahead to that double header.
Yeah, I think we're near we all could pick the 11, or near enough the 11. You know, he seems to stand by, you know, a lot of the players. It'd be interesting to see if anybody does break through for the training this week into the team. But no, I think it'll be the tried and trusted yet again. Obviously the goalkeeping issue is a big one. It'll be interesting to see who he goes for.
I noticed a comment this morning saying, I can't remember if it was which pundit mentioned the fact that we were in a really strong position with 3 great goalkeepers, and now we've got 3 weak goalkeepers. Is that a fair comment? Is that quite harsh?
I think you maybe had a couple of proven goalkeepers at international level vying for the number 1 spot and have interchanged it at different points. I suppose what you would say now is that all 3 are relatively untested when it comes to international football, when it comes to being in that stage. I think the terminology is maybe a bit harsh on them to say that they're weak, because we don't really know what they've got. And I think I think Xander Clark and Liam Kelly are there on worth. I think at times their performances have been notable at club level. Angus Gunn is an interesting one. I think quite clearly, he's been dressed up a little bit this week on social media with family videos and so on. But I think had there been an opportunity to go and play at England, he would have gone. I think that's where his heart was. But if it's to Scotland's benefit that he comes in and is a good goalkeeper, then I think you take the rules and exploit them to your own end.
I think what we had with 3 goalkeepers who had proved themselves at international level. Now we've got 3 goalkeepers that have to come up with it. So that makes you a wee bit nervous, as an individual. I've not been here before. So they're going to go into the game and they have to prove to everybody that they've got the quality to play international football.
Yeah, well, one area where we really are strong is midfield, so we don't have to worry about that. And if we could only help in the striking department, Tam, I still think we're trying to unearth, a striker of note who could maybe supplement what we already have.
Ollie McBurney seems to be back in the picture. Scored 13, I think, goals this season. Scored at the weekend. He's maybe one that could come back in. Although I think maybe burn these bridges with a few of the Tartan army. But you're right, we're just missing that number 9. We've not got that real threat up front. We've got a lot of decent strikers, but we've not got a real quality one. And I think that's the one area. You look at Scotland all over the place now. We've got right backs, left backs. Midfield. We've not got a real proper number 9, unfortunately. But hopefully there's maybe 1 or 2 coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it's not just Scotland that's angry down south. There's been a few angry managers and a few contentious decisions as well. As far as the English Premier League is concerned, are Arsenal going to win it? Have anybody changed their mind? Can Arsenal win it, Ruffy?
Yeah, of course they can win it.
Will they win it?
No, I don't think they will. I think Man City will eventually catch up on them. The pressure possibly will get too much to some of the young Arsenal players, but they're doing particularly well now and they're getting good results.
Yeah. Do you think they'll win it, Ali?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do think they'll win it.
Yeah. Oh, right. So they're 8 points ahead. City have got a game in hand.
Listen, I think Arsenal are big favourites, but if Haaland can get his finger out and hit a bit of form, then Man City might still win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you said 40, I think you're underplaying it with him.
He's got 8 goals in 2 games.
I know. I think the big man can he hit 60?
Oh, he can hit 50. I think he's on. Is that on 39 now?
Yeah. Will he hit 50?
Easy.
Couldn't rule it out.
Easy.
I mean, what?
And he's not
made Man City a better team according to a few pundits as well. They're not as good.
To be fair, he's got to win the Champions League. They've only spent $1 billion. Anyway, what about Spurs? 3-1 up against Southampton. Got it back to 3-3. You think Bottlers? Antonio Conte had a few choice words.
They used it here. Don't play for something important. Yeah. And they don't play. They don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. Yeah, it's easy in this way. And Tottenham story is this: 20 years that there is the owner and never won something. But why? Only for the fault is only for the club or for every manager that stay here?
Well, I think the reason he's done that is because quite a few people have had a pop at him, and I think he's decided, well, enough is enough. I'm filled here with a team of people who just don't know what it's like to win.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. You know, he's already quoted the last time they won anything, you know, and you have to say they have been a team that have had very, very good individuals, but not collectively. And but you know, you can tell that these managers down in England are getting so much pressure, they're just reacting when they come to a press conference.
Yeah.
We were in a Champions League final not too long ago.
Yeah.
A few seasons back.
Sector manager.
I just think Conte was never a good fit for Spurs. I think he's too defensive.
Yeah.
I think just the way he lines up, I
He
don't
had a
think
good
he's
track
fit.
record though, Ali.
I just think he's not a good fit for Spurs, and the way they like to play and the system they like to play. They like to go in an attacking style and an attacking way of playing football. I just think he's at odds with it all the time. I don't think he's got the best out of individual players.
Yeah.
Son, he's just been so poor by his own standards this season.
It's funny. I love it down south when they say we want a manager who plays the West Ham way or the Spurs way, and I go, well, what is that? You win nothing. You maybe get an FA Cup every 20 odd years. That's what Spurs are. These teams that think they've got a great record, they've a great record for winning nothing.
Newcastle might actually do something this season, playing not the Newcastle way, because the Newcastle way, from what I've seen over the last 20 years, going back to Kevin Keegan and guys like that, Dalglish, was been great to watch attacking and getting beat 4-3 and 5-4.
Yeah.
And they've now got a manager in Eddie Howe, and they're very, very difficult to beat. They've got the best defensive record in the league, and they might go and actually do something this season, whether it's winning something or getting the top four. So yeah, I don't understand that either, that phrase played a certain way.
Crazy. Good FA Cup games over the weekend, Ruffy. Certainly enjoyed watching them. Man City, unstoppable. Sheffield United, if you're going to win a game and then realise that you're not eligible to play the semi-final, Tommy Doyle hit an absolute screamer. Best goal of the weekend.
Yeah, it certainly was, you know, but to get back to Man City, you know, that's the team that's leading the league below. That's the team that's coming up, and they just hammered them, what, 6-0?
Yeah,
It
incredible.
shows you the difference in the standards.
And amazingly, if we get angry with referees up here, I certainly would advise any Scottish player not to take the Mitrovic approach to it, because
See if he Cleland.
By the way, I'd be careful, because we could be in trouble the next time we play tennis. But I don't know why I'm criticising Cleland. That's where my mum was born. But nevertheless, I'm looking at the Mitrovic. Fulham shot themselves in the foot.
Absolutely imploded. They really did. It was just an act of self-sabotage. And then three red cards, like within about 90 seconds of one another. 2 players off and the manager off. But he lost the plot. He absolutely lost the plot. And then you know what's coming straight after it.
Absolutely. Anyway, we love talking about football. That's what it is. It's a football show, predominantly. Everything you get on this programme, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Share it, hit the subscribe button as well. What about the quiz? Well, it was 1969, it was Hampden Park, it was Celtic against Rangers, it was 132,870 fans. They were the ones that, they were the ones that had paid.
I think I was closest.
You want 10 points to Predictor?
That's exactly what I want.
I don't think you need to worry about people from Cleland. It's Clark Spurs you need to worry about, by the way.
Yeah, Alison, we Spurs there. I was closest. I could get a trophy.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. She's a winner from last season.
We get handy back this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, what about the competition? This is the new one.
It's another unbelievable competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win these fantastic Geo Thompson prints, including this signed print of Hibs legend Pat Stanton, commemorating Hibernian's 2016 Scottish Cup win, if you answer this simple question. Who scored the winning goal in that memorable Cup final against Rangers? Post your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Well, I just think that's a great prize for Hibs fans, because quite simply, you know, we cover every club, Ruffy. We try and get as many prizes from every club to get out there for our fans.
Yeah, and every club's got a bit of history. A lot of people, supporters, have got big favourites of the clubs, and obviously a lot of the 3 pictures there have got most of their big favourites in it.
Yeah,
I'll throw in a signed picture of me as well, in with the prize.
Well, you want to put people on a downer, by the way? I mean, people are a lot of Hibs fans were high as a kite there.
Are you in a tracksuit?
Yeah. let's get him in the let's get one for the bench. I think we should get that photograph when he came in with his blonde hairstyle as a Bond villain. Yeah. Get him to sign that. That would be great, wouldn't it? Martin Weir says, it might have been 132,870 plus the ones that used to jump the fence, and then the ones that used to say, can you give me a lift over, mister? Because the biggest ever attendance, I think, was the semi-final 1970 against Leeds, Celtic Leeds United, 136,505 if my memory serves me correct. Unbelievable. Can you imagine needing the toilet in the middle of that game, Ruffy?
You just date where you stand, don't you?
I think that's not what happens. Largely.
Yes.
As long as it's a fee.
It's good. I cannot believe him. He's just the worst, isn't he? Ali and I are away for at least 4 Corona each to try and.
I'm off it now. I'm off it for a few weeks.
Yeah.
I was a bit green behind the gills yesterday.
Yeah,
I was feeling it yesterday. I'm off it for a couple of weeks.
Okay, there you are.
There you go. Reading Alan Wood's out now. You can do that as well, Alan.
Signed photo of Tam in the MLS when he used to play in America. That would be great. Oh wow! Let's see
that in as well.
Let's see if we've got. Have you got a picture of you in the MLS?
B baseball card.
Oh, fantastic!
You make MSL All Stars game at the end of the season.
No, but I can make MLS. That's it. That's the other league.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There you are.
He said MSL.
I know. He just makes it up. I told you, if it sounds right, he says it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the programme today. Lots of managers, players interviews. What more can you want in a programme talking about Scottish football? Angry managers, I have to say. Give us your thoughts on the VAR. We'll have more from McCoist and Dalglish on tomorrow's programme. We'll be in the Scotland camp. You'll be able to see the interviews, and also you've got a competition to win. We are giving you so much unique video content. Hopefully you're enjoying it. From Tam, Ruffy, Alison and myself, Peter Martin. Hit the subscribe button and we'll see you tomorrow.